Hey friends, and welcome back to the Weekly Unfold with me, Ramat Tejani. This last week, it's been a real mix of things. Like, it started in San Diego, it's ended here in London, and it's been about real life hiccups. It's been about necessary perspective shifts, and also, to be honest, moments of connection. I've connected with a few different people in different ways, which I'm just like, oh, making me feel super aligned again. So yeah, even though things haven't gone perfectly, as you may or may not be able to tell, I'm not using the camera that I usually use. Talk about that later. But it's fine. I've found a way to make things happen. So there's a bit of a reminder that, like, when you're truly committed, you'll find a way. So yeah, let's deep dive into what unfolded in this past week. It's been all about perspective. The ask has been all about perspective. I needed to ask for perspective from people that were specifically not emotionally involved with a situation that really challenged me. I'm not gonna lie, I was in my feelings. The situation irked me. I was a bit like, what the? I was very thankful for the fact that I am currently observing Ramadan, so I'm very much like, but it was really helpful to get some neutral eyes on the situation. So I was able to speak to a few people that were just able to zoom out in the situation and look at it as a whole. And I think that really just helped me recognize that there are more than one side to a story, a story rather. It helped me recognize that people just see things differently, and I needed that reminder. I'm often the one to remind other people that, but I needed that reminder. And it really helped to have people outside of the situation to see it clearer or clearly and be able to show me, like, actually, Rams, there's a different perspective here and you need to consider this. So that was my ask for this week. Perspective, and more perspective. And I'm really glad that I made the ask, because I also think that sometimes it's easy for people, myself included, to be like, no, I'm right, I know exactly what I'm doing, I don't need any help or another perspective. Sometimes other perspectives really help. My failure this week is the reason why I may still be using a different camera next week. Because the camera that I usually use when I'm recording is this Osmo Pocket 3. It's the DG camera. It's fantastic. It has like a little like gimbal thing. It does the rotation. It's great. However, mine is not working. Like, I had a little accident, and you probably can't tell, but this is supposed to be straight and it's not, and I don't quite know how to make it straight. Anywho's, I do have insurance on it, because when I bought it, it was not a cheap buy, and so I got insurance, and yet I still have not reached out to the insurance people. So I need to do that ASAP, because, to be fair, give myself grace, it happened on the Monday when I was leaving San Diego, and then this week has been a wild week, so I haven't had a chance to do it. But I really do want to get back to documenting my life or experimenting with it, because it's given me a lot of it's given me a great outlet to be more creative. I'm like, oh, like, I could just take this with me and do this little recording. So yeah, that's my failure. I need to fix up and work on that, and hopefully by the time I speak to you next week, I'll either be using a repaired version or a new version of it. So yeah, I need to sort out my warranty on my insurance bits on that so that I can still film. But I will say, actually, I'll put this in my reminders, because I think this is a good reminder for me this week. All right, let's go. I said my reminders are related to the failures. Sorry, my hair is telling me a different story. Anyway, I said that my reminder is related to the failure that I mentioned because I was really reminded that if you really want to commit something, you'll find a way. You will find a way. I have committed to my Sundays being about exploring creativity and just being a bit more for me, and that includes doing these videos. Absolutely loving the process of like learning, and where I don't have this camera, I was very worried about how I was going to do it, but I knew I was going to do it. So what I ended up doing is thinking I was going to use the camera on my laptop, and then I realized that actually I have a really great Logitech webcam, which I used to tell everyone about. So when COVID happened, this was the camera that I ended up getting. It was great, still is great. And here we go. Like, I'm doing what I said I was going to do. So, you know, I guess life will throw us curveballs, but it's how we respond to it that matters. So here I am with that reminder. The second reminder I had this week is about the fact that your inbox, whether that's your work inbox, whether that's your personal inbox, whether that's messages on your WhatsApp, whether that's your Instagram inbox, your whatever, your inboxes are generally filled with other people's priorities. I said what I said. It's filled with other people's priorities. And I'm not saying that those priorities don't necessarily align with your priorities, because often they do, but they're often filled with other people's priorities. And so as I was like considering some of my inboxes having come back from being away, so I put an out of office on my work email, but also my personal emails and the emails for the business inspiration box. So I had a whole load of emails that I came back to work, personal, the inspiration box. Some were like, this is urgent. And I had to stop and be like, is it actually urgent? Or is it urgent for you? Because I have priorities for this next couple of weeks. And so it's about recognizing that, again, your inbox is full of other people's priorities. It is what it is. You choose whether or not you want to, whether those priorities match your priorities. Said what I said. When it comes to things I'm grateful for, the first thing I'm going to say is choosing to attend events after work. I am observing Ramadan, and so it's easy for me to say I'm not going to go to an event because I'm tired or because I want to break my fast and do iftar like within the confines of my home and with ease. And yet this week I decided actually I'm going to put myself into certain spaces that I don't know what might come of them. And actually it was fantastic and it was beautiful, and I'm so glad I went. It allowed me to, I went to an event called Get Shit Done, and it was all about the creative industry and AI and the intersect between AI and the creative industry. And they kind of deep dived into some of the challenges that creatives may find when it comes to AI, and also the opportunity and the potential that AI has for creatives if they were to just embrace it and be a bit more curious. Loved the conversation. I might actually do a write-up about it because I actually really enjoyed the conversation. So it was my second Get Shit Done event. I went to one earlier. When was the last one? I think it was earlier in the year, but it was all about strategy, and I also took a copious amount of notes on that at that one. So I might just write a blog about those. Anywho's, went and caught up with a few people, which was great. Matilda from Fly Girl Collective, and she's also a life coach and wellness coach. And Amanda from 5 Stories, she did a TED talk the same time that I did my TED talk. And we just haven't been able to catch up because life has been lifing for both of us. But it was so great to see both of them. They both stood up and asked questions. at the end of kind of like the panel bit. So that was great. And then I had a few other events that I went to, but I don't go into all of the events I've been to this week, but what I will say is that I had forgotten how important it is to attend events, but also when you're at events to put yourself out there to some degree. I think there's something about going to events and knowing the intention that you have when it comes to the event. Are you going to the event just to take in knowledge and that's it? If that's the case, fine. Are you going to the event because you want to expand your network? In which case, can you challenge yourself to say hi to one or two people and find out what they do and what keeps them curious about the world? Yeah, like go with the right intention and you should reap the benefits, and I really did this week. So great. Like, I'm really grateful, but also thankful for the fact that I actually chose to go. Second thing, I, for the past few years, have invested in a Ramadan journal, like a journal specifically to use whilst I'm fasting. And it's just been great for me to pause and check in with myself and just ground myself in a kind way. And I journal anyway, not all the time, but I do journal. But for these 30 days, I am doing it consistently, and I'm checking in, and I'm actually doing the same thing, the same format of like 1 ask, 1 failure, 2 reminders or lessons, 3 things I'm grateful or thankful for. So it's the same format, but just doing it on a daily basis. So I'm really thankful for the commitment that I've got to that. It's been beautiful, actually. Like I read back through a few of the my kind of like entries just about an hour ago, and I was like, oh, this is really nice. So thankful for my Ramadan journal. And then third thing. The third thing that I am grateful for and thankful for are words that were read as part of a piece by Folake, who is one of the founders or co-founders of a movement called Protect Black Women. Now, she was reading a poem or a collection of words, and there was one sentence that almost took me, like it literally took my breath away. And it said, "We will not wait for someone else's winter." No, let me get it right. Go wrong. Hold on. It said, she said rather, "We will not wait for someone else's winter to pass before we breathe spring." Tell me that did not send shivers down your spine. I almost was like, I almost wanted to like shout out, "Read it again!" But we're in a room at dinner with a group of people. I'm not trying to embarrass myself. But I immediately wrote it down in my notes because there's something about recognizing that, and I'm really into seasons, if you didn't know, like I'm really into like seasons and nature and how we as humans often align with the seasons, and it may not be aligned, we may not align with the seasons at the time the season is taking place. So we might be in the summer months in the Northern Hemisphere, but you might be going through a winter, and that's okay. But I really do think like we align, and our emotions, etc., align with like seasons. And so this idea of like not waiting for someone else's winter to pass before you open up and start to blossom into your spring. Honestly, beautiful words. Beautiful words. I am so thankful to have been in the room to hear those words. I actually need Folika to either share the whole piece or, you know, share like who said what, because it was, anyway, that's what I'm thankful for. I'm gonna stop right there, because yeah, it was beautiful. I'm still in awe of those words. So yeah, all right, on to the next one. So as we look ahead, I have been thinking that like it will probably make more sense for me to reflect on whatever I mentioned in the look ahead section the week before then talking about what I'm going to look ahead at for this coming week, right? So I think maybe starting next week I might do that, like it, just to give some perspective. We can talk about perspective today, but for this week we'll just continue as is, because I hadn't really thought about it, but I literally just thought about it as I pressed record. So we're moving into week 13 or 52. I don't know where the time's flying by. And the theme for March as a whole is magnify. And so we've kind of taken time to kind of think about what is important to us, what we want to deep dive into, how we can really step into spaces, and how we can take a bit more action. And I think this week I want to focus on, I guess, yes, taking action, but clarity in motion. And I think there's something around, I don't know, like it's easy is the wrong word, but it can be easy to sit in a reflection and to feel this like aha moment, and for those aha moments to stack up. But like, what are we actually doing? Like, what are we actually doing with this clarity that we are gaining? And so when I think about this idea of like motion and movement, I don't think it needs to be big things, but this past week has taught me that like taking action is important, and I I want to take steps forward with a bit more clarity. And they don't need to be like big, bold leaps or anything. Like they can be small, intentional shifts. But you know, whatever it is, let's have some clarity in moving forward. So, you know, maybe we decide we're going to say yes to something new this week. Or actually, there's a really good book by Shonda Rhimes that I don't know if it was her first book, but she wrote a book called My Year of Yes, and I loved it. And when I read it before, I would encourage you to read it if you haven't. But this idea of like saying yes to something new, even if you're like, whoa, you know, it's just a small, it is a small intentional shift, right? But you've got clarity and like, this is what I'm going to do. So yeah, like let's maybe practice some of the things that we've been preaching in our journals. I don't know. But that's just kind of what I'm thinking about, this clarity and like this motion, and clarity in motion and movement. Yeah. There's something about like expansion, not necessarily meaning that you have to change your whole life. It doesn't mean you have to change your whole life. Sometimes it's about making that one choice that aligns with the clarity that you already have. And so I guess my challenge to you is, what is that one thing that you can commit to this week that brings clarity into your life? Yeah, drop it in the comments. I think there's space for us to do things step by step. There's this theory somewhere by someone, I don't know who did the maths, but there's this idea that if you do something 1% better each week, you become 33% better over the year. Like, that's having clarity in motion, saying you're just going to do this one thing but with more depth each. I don't know if it was each week or each day, but yeah, take these videos for example. Don't go and watch the first one, but my hope is that like as I'm doing them, I'm getting better because I'm learning new things, etc, etc. So yeah, anywho's, as always, stay out of trouble. Well, thank you for watching first of all. I really appreciate it, because I sometimes look at the numbers and I'm like, oh my gosh, this one has like X number of people watching it. Sometimes it has no people watching it. And I'm like, meh, I'm not actually doing it for anyone else, so I'm gonna still show up. But thank you for those that have been watching and have been liking. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. And as always, stay out of trouble, unless it's good trouble, in which case, go wild. And I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.